It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest and Season 7 is here. This week is called Supercars and it's the first one for Season 7 and this is my Summit guide. Let's go. All right, starting off with the cars for this week, the Summit bundle will get you the Ferrari F40 street car and the Ferrari Enzo in the hypercar category. You're going to need an additional vehicle. I recommend an AGP car with score breaker parts and skilled as your affixes. That's how you're going to get double points on those slaloms. So definitely do that. The rest of the vehicles in the Summit are loaned, so don't worry too much about those. And the key to this Summit is 100% slipstream. If you do not have a slipstream partner, you're at a significant disadvantage. And I don't really say that often, but with these events specifically, slipstream is a giant factor. It's a difference of up to 10-12 seconds on each course. You need a slipstream partner in order to get the maximum score. If you're not concerned with the maximum score, it is still possible to get platinum solo. Platinum itself is not going to be harder because you're solo, but it will be a difference maker for some of you who are right on the bubble. Like if you can't get to rank 15,000 and you have a friend that's available, I recommend using slipstream as that little bit that's going to push you over the edge into platinum. All right, here are the pro settings for all the cars that I just mentioned, and then we'll get into the events. All right, the first event is called The Era Begins, and for this one, we're using the GTO. I believe this is a loaned vehicle situation, so you don't have to worry about parts. There's not a lot of tricky spots on this race. Again, I strongly recommend having a slipstream partner. That's why you see me and Simji doing this together. I wanted to see what the difference was between slip and non-slip, and on this race specifically, it was about 9 seconds difference between a really clean solo pace and a clean slipstream pace, so it's a huge difference. And yeah, let's get to the parts that actually matter. All right, as you're reaching the top of this hill here, this left-hander, you got to grab the gutter. And on this turn, you can either drift or just take the corner and cut it. I did a little bit of both. Didn't work out too well. Now, again, we were in slipstream, so that's going to make up for any of those mistakes. But that's a corner where you want to do that with. The other recommendation I have is for you to make sure you're managing your NOS enough so you can be at full speed if you're not in a slipstream. This straight leading up to the final turn of the lap is really good for just getting your speed all the way up to top speed. So make sure you have enough NOS to do that. Don't waste all of your NOS on the corners before that. Make sure you have enough to get to top speed. This last turn is a little bit tricky. You got to cut it a little bit. I put 2 wheels in the dirt. Normally you would try to gutter this, but this gutter isn't strong enough with this car. So 2 wheels in the dirt, and that'll help you avoid the wall. Then you just rinse and repeat. It's not a terribly difficult lap, but again, slipstream helps. Let's move on. All right, the next event is called Racing to the Extreme using the F40. This one is actually a pretty decent race. This was my favorite race of the 6 events. It had the most number of turns, and slipstream is the least effective on this one, although it's still effective. So you can do this pretty much solo and get a really good time, actually. So on this turn, obviously you're in the gutter. Let's move forward. This turn here, you're also going to be using the gutter. Try to stay in it if you can. There is one cut here at the top of the hill. Let's fast forward to it. It is right here on this left-hander. You can cut left of the checkpoint. Now, I was aiming for this little clearing. Notice this, like the bushes kind of dip down here. I was aiming for that little clearing, and then I'm kind of steering to the left to try to avoid this wall. And as I'm doing that, there's a jump there. And if you point your car to the left while taking that jump, you end up right in the position you need to be, which is on the left side of this checkpoint. So this was all planned, and it worked out pretty well. You can use NOS in the air when you jump as well, and that puts you on the road, and it doesn't, you know, put you over here in the grass, and you get a chance to use your NOS to, you know, get out of that situation. So that's the way I did that one. On this turn here, I also cut it a little. You can cut to the left of the checkpoint, and I used it as a reason to slow down for this turn. Now, this curb hop is intentional. If you hit this curb, sometimes the car will jump up in the air a little bit, and when it does that, you can use NOS. Notice I'm going at the end of this, I'm going about 160. You can get to 170, 180 in the air with the proper NOS if you can get the jump to work. On this right-hander, you can take the curb as well. Try to get all the way up onto the sidewalk. It's actually surprisingly stable there. And that's it for the lap, so let's move on. All right, the next event is called No Compromise. Again, slipstream is very, very important for this one. It means the difference of over 10 seconds on this run. it's crazy. So let's get to anything that's maybe slightly tricky, but just try to stay in slip with your friends. You actually have two options here. You can stay to the left, go through these barriers and cut the checkpoint, or you can stay to the right like this. If you're in slip, this makes a lot more sense. And then you can take the turn normally, and you'll exit this turn with a lot more speed. You see my ghost? Here, let's go back. You see where my ghost over here on the left? It's coming from the cut. And I went through here and reset. But unfortunately, when you reset, it actually stops the momentum of the car. So in this case, you really have to go super fast into that checkpoint. And then you really need to control your speed down on the grass and then make that turn. If you don't make that turn and you reset, it's going to be slower. You can tell because we passed my ghost completely. It was at a dead stop. You can see it on the mini map, my blue ghost here. It is at a dead stop while we were flying by at 150 miles an hour. So don't reset that flag. If you're going to take the cut, don't reset the flag. Most of this here is just staying on the road, using gutters where necessary. Let's keep going, keep going. No cuts here yet. Still no cuts. All highway. All the way to the end. That was it. Slipstream is the difference maker on this one. All right, the next event is called Humble Tribute, and this is with the Enzo. This is mostly a highway race as well, but I'll get to the parts where it, you know, you can make a little bit of difference on some of the cuts here. So let's take a look here. All right, right here at about 58%, you can see that this corner is just begging to be cut. This cut is extremely wooded. There's lots of trees, and when you go through here, it is a crapshoot as to which tree you're going to try to miss and hit. You really have to be careful cutting this corner. It absolutely can be done, and I didn't do it on this particular lap. I think I stayed safe, or I cut it at the very end. But this can absolutely be cut. It's just a matter of getting it right, and if you get it right, you're going to save some time. This particular route, I didn't do that. I actually went straight into the wall. So anyways, because of slipstream, we still got a decent time. But yeah, that's a tough one, man. You can give it a try though. All right, the turn at the bottom of this hill is a drift turn. If you're trying to drift like this, you're going to use the handbrake and NOS at the same time. Unless you're on direct mode, then you can just, you know, use the steering to flick the car. And just after that drift, you're going to go straight here. Watch out for this tank here on the right side. We'll go straight across and then turn to the left. No air NOS. If you air NOS, you're going to end up way over in the trees. Just don't air NOS, get back to the ground, and then use your NOS to get to top speed there. That's a nice little cut as well. Now, towards the end, you can actually cut this corner on the right after the tree. Kind of slows you down a little, but you're going to make it a little bit faster than if you know... Actually, I don't really know if that's faster, to be honest with you guys. You probably could just take the gutter and just be just as fast there and exit the corner with a little more speed. I don't know. I drifted it and tried it. I feel like that's good enough. If you have a slipstream partner, you're going to get a good score. I feel like I've said that so many times this summit guide. All right, the next event is called Born to Innovate, and you guessed it, the key to this one is slipstream. So yeah, if you have a slipstream partner, you're gonna knock off like 10 seconds on this race. It's incredibly easy with a slipstream, but solo it's just going to be a little bit harder. So anyways, let's move to the cuts real quick. All right, this corner at 37%, you can slow down. Your visual cue here is the two tall trees. So there's this first one that's not as tall, and then the taller one, you're going to go to the right of that. So you see the big trunks, stay to the left, to the right of the taller one, and keep turning right, get you back on course. Now, you might be tempted to cut across the field here on this checkpoint. There are so many bumps and divots, and there's a farm equipment and all kinds of stuff in your way, and you're going full speed into this. It does not make sense to cut this corner. It was much better if we just slammed the wall and then used it to sort of make the turn here. And this was not even a super optimized way to do it. That's just how we ended up doing it. And I think we ended up getting the WR at the time for this one. So yeah, right here at 59%, you're going to cut to the left. Keep holding left the whole time. The car's going to want to flip around like that. I didn't even do this well either. And we still ended up getting WR. Cut this corner on the right as well. Make sure you're cutting to the right of these two trees as you're trying to regain with the road here. Just like that. And that's basically it. Let me fast forward. On these last couple of turns, you're going to have to lift. You can't take them full throttle. That one and this one. And then you can NOS to the finish line. Lots of optimizing to be done in this race. And we ended up snagging WR, which is crazy. All right, the last event is called Timeless Icons. This is using the F50. Yet again, slipstream is a huge factor. So Let me fast forward to some of the cuts. I'll show you some of that stuff. All right, this corner coming up at a 38%. I drifted. Worked out pretty well. Not too bad at all. And honestly, that's it. There's not really any cuts or anything like that. It's just slipstream, man. It literally is just slipstream. These races don't have a lot of cuts necessarily, but slipstream is important. Yeah, I said it too many times. All right, let's move on to the feats. All right, starting with the speed trap. For this one, I used the Enzo, and as soon as you spawn in, just turn right, go up the hill. There's a couple things you're looking for in this one. Last time, I didn't give you any advice on the speed trap, and I think people were asking about it in the comments, so I figured I'd just do a little bit of commentary here instead of letting the whole thing play through. So let me fast forward. We're going to go up the hill like this, get to the edge of the green circle, and then you can turn around. What you're looking for is going towards the speed trap. You can see it way down there at the bottom of the hill. Don't use very much NOS at first. And what you're looking to try to hit is this little carport here. So you can go to the left, in the middle, or to the right. Doesn't matter. My suggestion, though, is to hit it straight down the middle and make sure that your car lands on the top, because you want to do like a little kiss bounce jump off the top of this thing. Sounds ridiculous, but because of the rewind feature, this really isn't that hard. It's not that hard to do. You just got to line it up and then rewind if you miss, and then if you miss it again, just rewind again. This is what I did. See, I knew I was going to miss, so I rewind, do a little bit of an adjustment here. Oops, I went a little sideways, rewind, you know what I mean? And then go back and do it again. I went a little more to the left to see how this works out, and completely missed it altogether. So I was like, oh, I got to rewind again, but I was straight, so I left it on this path, okay, and didn't get far enough. And so you get the point. You basically just rewind until you get it correctly. That time I was very close. Didn't get it, though. See if I get it on this one. Too far to the right. And then I think I got it on this one. There it is. And then NOS in the air. Please, please, please hit it. You got to hit the speed trap before your car lands. You got to go through it in the air. Otherwise, as soon as your car lands, you're going to drop off a bunch of speed, but that's how you get over 300 miles an hour. On the slaloms, both of them the same thing. You don't have to go fast as long as you have score breaker parts. Your parts are score breaker on your set bonus, skilled, maxed out on your affix. So you don't need to go fast. If you have score breaker and skilled, you're going to get a really good score. You don't have to, you know, max out your speed. So both of these are pretty straightforward and fast. And even on this one, I got 11,000 points because I missed the last checkpoint. I got 156. Plenty of points, man. So there you go. I'm not even going to let the other two play. You don't need advice for those. You need the parts. Score breaker with skilled and pure. All right, here are my final scores. Thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions about this, you don't hesitate to send me a DM on Instagram or Discord. I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Trigger out.